It's amazing to me, if you ask a child, where does your water come from? They'll say, well, from the tap. So I love to tell Toronto kids, well, when you turn on the tap, that water comes from Lake Ontario. And when you go to the toilet and flush it, it goes right out into Lake Ontario. And then people very quickly understand that we live in loops, and the water that we're using to dump garbage in is the same water that we're taking out to drink.
My name is Chad Pagracki. I'm founder-president of Living Lands and Waters. It was founded in 1998 with a simple goal, and that was to help clean America's rivers. Actually, at that time, it was to help clean up the Mississippi River, but since then, it's expanded out quite a bit. First started out one little John boat. Now we're 4 barges, tugboat, work trucks, semis, work boats. Paid crew of 6. Greetings, Earthlings. Thousands of volunteers. We go to the Ohio, the Illinois, the Missouri, the Anacostia, the Potomac, and there is a lot of work to do within all those thousands of miles of rivers. For you guys that haven't been to a cleanup before and haven't been to the barge, welcome. We're gonna go down below the 280 bridge there. We're gonna work probably 100 feet back in the woods. One boat will pull in right below the bridge, the other pull in about a mile down. We'll work together, and then we'll get a group hug in the middle. There's a lot of stuff down there. There's some big stuff, some small stuff. If it's too big for you to get, just call me. That was a joke. That was a joke. Let's give it up for just the sake of clapping for no reason. Yeah!
Chad's a natural-born leader. He's got more energy than the rest of us combined, pretty much. So he adds a lot. He definitely sets the tone and the pace, for sure.
Yeah, Kristen! We get volunteers out there to help us dig out tires, diesel drums, barrels, small stuff, big stuff. We'll load the boats up full of junk, take it to the barge, unload the stuff, and then sort it out for recycling. In 10 years, we've collected about 4 million pounds of garbage, like 30,000 tires, over 4,000 55-gallon barrels, over 600 refrigerators, stoves, washing machines, propane tanks, batteries, coconuts, ostrich eggs, prosthetic legs, messages in bottles, a lot of bowling balls, you find those, a lot of mad bowlers out there. Over 18 million people drink the Mississippi River every day, and a lot of times we'll find full oil barrels. Refrigerators all have compressors in there. It's PCBs in there. There's just a lot of harmful stuff in what we pick up. Hey, yeah, will you help me drag this up there? About a third of the stuff we pull out is actually in the water. A third of it's right on the banks, and then a third of it's up in the woods or on the islands.
The river fluctuates. So right now the river shoreline's right here, but a few weeks ago we had a massive flood and the river was way back into those woods. And when the water recedes, the garbage gets caught up in the trees.
We just found a 255-gallon diesel drum. I think there's 2 reasons why this stuff ends up here. It's either from floods or people dumping intentionally in the river. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't think when people are dumping it, they realize that it's just gonna go down into somebody else's yard.
Look at that!
Right on, Mike, way to get in there.
Right on, baby. You know, I'll tell you what though, Chad and his crew have made a hell of a difference. I grew up on the river, and I can see the change that these guys have made. It's huge.
The mentality's changing, and definitely people dumping in the river is not happening nearly what it was years ago. A lot of these communities along the upper Mississippi River, we don't even go back to because there's not a need to have a cleanup. Yeah! Little by little. The styrofoam is the worst stuff. It's because there's so much of it. Like, honestly, we have filled barge loads and barge loads of just styrofoam. And it never breaks down. It just flakes down into smaller little pieces. It's pretty bad stuff. Do it, do it. Yeah, we can head back. You know,
I don't care how cleanly we've lived, every one of us contains dozens and dozens of toxic chemicals. Why? Because we've used air, water, and soil as a garbage can. And since we're made up of the stuff that comes out of the air, the water, the soil, then we've got the contents of a garbage can.
The major sources of pollution in our rivers and lakes are vast quantities of pesticides and fertilizers that run off from our agricultural fields, or chemicals that run off of our streets.
We find traces of pharmaceuticals in our water supply, everything from mercury to birth control pills. There's a host of chemicals that we are actually ingesting at this point.
When I was 15 years old, my brother and I started shell diving for mussel shells right out here. I didn't like seeing all the, the junk floating down the river and on the banks and the shore and on the islands. So in '97, I started loading my parents' yard. I started right across the river, just working, filling boatload after boatload after boatload after boatload, and bringing it here and then sorting it out for recycling. So it pretty much got my start cleaning up the Mississippi River right here. Hello, Mother.
Hey, Chad, how you doing?
How you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Oh,
I'm Kiki Pagracki, AKA Chad's mom. I've totally lost my identity over this whole project. Like, oh, that's Chad's mom.
I'm never coming back.
All right.
So,
Okay, we'll count on
see you
it.
later.
See you, it's been good knowing you.
It's been good knowing you. Thanks for raising me.
Thanks. We're very proud of him. He figured out a long time ago, if you can get somebody's attention to change their awareness about a situation, then you have that potential to change their attitude. And if you can change an attitude, you might be able to change behavior.
I'm not an environmentalist. I'm really not. I'm just a regular person who saw a problem, want to do something about it. The Mississippi River is like a lifeline to the United States, but it's also a symbol of our nation. I'd like to think back and think that I left the place a little bit better.